What's up and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is solely focused on the installation and unboxing of the Evo 7, 8, and 9 forward-facing AC kits. Check it out. So I don't have access to an Evo right now, but I got my truck. It's forward-facing. Close enough, right? When the turbocharger faces forward, you can't run the stock radiator or condenser anymore. You've got to run a half-size radiator, typically runs from about here to here. And before my kit, there was no option for AC. There was no smaller condenser that you could bolt up and go with, but now there is. So if you got my kit, you got a half-size condenser, you got 3 hoses, you got billet adapter fittings, all the O-rings, and everything you need to bolt it up and get the system working with the factory AC components. If this were an Evo, there'd be a small AC compressor down here below the turbo, and you'd have some factory hard lines that run up this way, across the top of the shock tower, and to the firewall, where there would be an evaporator over here. One of the lines is going to be bigger than the other. That one's going to go to the compressor. The other one's going to be very small, and that one's going to sit over here, and we're actually going to attach to it with a billet adapter fitting. That one runs right beside the, if you have a USDM car, it's right behind the passenger side headlight. Obviously, it's a driver's side headlight if your car is right-hand drive. Then on this side where the compressor would be, it's going to come out of the compressor, make a bit of like a 90-degree turn, and hook up to the top of our new condenser. So let's go unbox everything and I'll tell you what each thing is, and then you'll have a better idea of where it all sits. So when you go to open your kit, you're going to find a couple things. You got a lot of packing paper, get this out of the way. And then you got some billet fittings. Now these are the pride and joy of my kit. We got a compressor adapter and a high pressure hardline adapter. Talk about those more in a second. We've got all of the O-rings and hardware you need to mount the condenser to the core support. So all of these O-rings are gonna go to your new lines that we have. There's number 6 and number 8 O-rings in there. And we've got 2 M6 1.0 bolts, and we've got an M8 125 bolt to mount the condenser. Pulling off more things. You can see the hoses and you can see the condenser itself. So we've got 3 separate hoses, and we've got the condenser with the dryer already mounted. I'm going to move over to some stuff that's already out of the box and explain each one of these components. So when you're installing the condenser, there's 2 bolt holes over here and there's 1 bolt hole here. Now this is an M6 1.0 and there are 2 of them, and they actually are the same bolts that hold your impact sensor on for your airbags. So if you don't have that anymore, you don't have to worry about removing it. If you do still have it, which most guys do, you're gonna pull the 2 stock 10mm head bolts, they're M6 thread. You're gonna pull those out. This is gonna slide in between, and then I have 2 longer M6 1.0 bolts that are gonna go in place to hold it in between the factory mount and the impact sensor itself. Then this side gets an M8 125. So when you're going to put it on, you're gonna take it and actually, it like slides in at an angle. So this is the upper part of the middle core support. You're gonna come in like this, lock it in, pull it forward. Then you're gonna start the M8 125 bolt. Don't get it tight, just get it kind of going a couple turns. And you're gonna put these 2 M6 bolts in on this side, and you can tighten everything down respectively. Next, let's talk about hoses. So this is your lower hose. This goes from your condenser to your dryer. Now all these hoses can only go one way, so you don't have to worry about which one goes where in regards to mixing them up. This 180 is gonna go around the core support into this number 6 fitting down here. It's gonna bend like this and attach right there. And again, this is why I left this T-bolt loose, so the dryer can slide up and down. You're not putting a ton of stress on any one piece. This is gonna lock into place there. You're gonna tighten those 2 down, and that hose will be done. I can't ship this to you with this already installed because it actually has to go around the core support. You'll see that as soon as you go to install it. Next, we got our compressor hose. This is a number 8 standard barrier hose. We've got a 90-degree O-ring fitting on this side and a 45-degree O-ring fitting on this side. The 45 goes in the condenser. It's going to aim up and back a little bit, which will direct this to the compressor. This sits like that, and again, they're gonna have O-rings on every single spot. These are both number 8s. This side goes to the compressor, and it's going to connect to the billet fitting that's included. Now these fittings are standard number 8 hose fittings on this side, and the factory OEM Evo compressor spec on this side. So an OEM O-ring will work. I include a number 8 O-ring, that will work as well. And then on this side, you'll have an O-ring here. This will slide in like that, and you just thread this on. You wanna be careful not to cross thread this because these are steel nuts and this is aluminum. It's not very hard to get it to catch, just be careful. If it feels like it's not going on, it's probably not. And you'll tighten that down like that. So when it's on your compressor, it'll look something like this. It'll come up, and these hoses are very flexible. These fittings are a little bit bendable, which is great. And then this will go to the top of the condenser. Lastly, we've got our long number 6 hose. This has a standard straight on this side and a 90-degree fitting on this side. The 90 goes to the outlet of the dryer. This side goes to the billet adapter fitting that then connects to the hard line right behind that passenger side headlight. So when you hook it up here, it's gonna go on the dryer just like that. And this side is gonna be, you can flex it a little bit and kind of route it how you need. There is gonna be some power steering line stuff going on here if you have the factory cooler in place. If you wanna remove that, you can. I always do. It's up to you. This right here is a piece of 6-inch fiberglass sleeve, and what that's for is to protect the hose where it runs across the top of the core support. You can run this piece to protect and insulate the hose so that it doesn't rub and cause a hole in the hose and then end up leaking. This side goes to the hard line. The adapter fitting for this one is very similar to the compressor. It's got a number 6 on this side. It will go right in there, provided you put an O-ring on first. Again, you thread it on, just being careful not to cross thread it. And then this side goes to your factory hardline. The hardline will press right into here. Once this M6 is removed, you will tighten this M6 down. It will pull everything together and you have a solid connection with no leaks. Just to give you one more look in the event that the orientation was not completely clear or I did a bad job at explaining it, the condenser sits like this on the Evo. You've got a center core support. You're gonna pop it in like this. You're gonna put the M8 bolt in and you're gonna pull this side forward. It's gonna line up behind that impact sensor, get those 2 M6 bolts started, and this will float in position. You can tighten it down completely as you don't need to adjust it or pull it out anymore. Then you can hook up all your hoses in their respective locations. Okay, so that's gonna pretty much wrap up the video. You might have a couple questions. The last 2 I can think of are, does it come with refrigerant? Does it come with oil? No, it does not, but you're gonna need both of those things. Oil, if you have a kit that was just running recently, you probably don't need to add any oil. I never do, I've never had a problem. 2, refrigerant. R134A, it's exactly what was in your system before. You're going to need about 16 ounces roughly. It changes a little bit. Sometimes I hear a guy put in 20 ounces, sometimes I hear 15. But the way we do this is take it to a professional, have them vacuum your system down, make sure there are no leaks, and then they add the proper amount of refrigerant based on the high and low pressures they see. Those pressures are going to vary based on humidity, temperature outside, where you're at in the world. A couple factors influence that, and that's why I highly recommend having a professional do it. If you have any questions or concerns, you're not sure where our hose goes, please feel free to contact me at any time. My email is evolvedcomponents@gmail.com. That's evolvedcomponents@gmail.com. Or you can message me via Instagram at _Alex Schuler. That's _AlexSchuler. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I really hope you love your kit. Peace out.